All right, welcome back to Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. William, let's bring in Michael Bogart. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Hi,
How
Chuck.
are you?
Good. How are you?
Things are going real good. I'm getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah?
Are you? Do you get excited about the holidays?
I get very excited about the holidays. I let my wife do most of the preparation stuff. That's kind of her
You
thing.
let her?
I do. She loves to do it. I don't, but I show
how
up.
long have you been married?
I've been married 37 years.
You gentlemen out there, listen to the way he picks his words. She loves to do it.
She does. And I am there to do whatever she needs me to do, but it's her event. So that's my advice to the guys.
You're a smart man right there. Hey, what are we talking about today?
Well, you know, last week obviously was the day after the election, and we had a chance to talk a little bit about that, but things haven't unfolded at the time. And I wanted to just say a little bit about the protest movements that have been happening. I know today in Washington, D.C., there's a protest movement, and they've been happening in other parts of the country as well. And
I think a peaceful protest is just fine.
Certainly. People have the right to assemble. People have the right to make their views known, as long as they don't break laws in the process. And so I think what I would want to do, and you know, we've been talking about election stuff and for several weeks now, and I had said, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that ever said this, was that whoever won that election, a sizable group of people would be upset. And so, but yet the thing that we have in common as Americans, and other politicians have been saying this, I mean, I'm not a politician, but the process is what makes us Americans. You know, the peaceful transition, whether you like the way the election turned out or not, the process of transitioning power is always very important. And I think as the guy that's supposed to be representing Christianity or some kind of view like that, I would say let's give it a chance. Let's see what happens. Let's see what works. I mean, you know, we're all afraid about what could happen if this candidate got elected or that candidate got elected. Let's see what actually unfolds.
It's kind of secular, isn't it? I mean, we just went through 8 years of a Democratic White House. It was going to happen sometime. Did the American people just vote for change, maybe? Is that what, did they just want to hear something different? I don't know.
I'm no political analyst, but I think that certainly was a part of it. They were saying, let's try something different. At least parts of what we've been doing don't seem to be working all that well. That may have been part of it. I mean, I think
this president-elect sure has changed his tone since the election.
He started acting presidential, didn't he? Something like that.
I don't know if I'd say that.
But you know, look at what President Obama said. Obama said, "My job is to help him be successful." I mean, you know, Hillary Clinton said, you know, let's give him a chance in a sense. So I think, you know, really our political system is working. The transition is happening. You know, to some degree, and I think it's in everybody's interest to let it unfold. Now, if there's problems in the future, we certainly ought to deal with those.
Hey, we've had one-term presidents before.
Certainly.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, and that
if it doesn't work out, it's America. We can go at it again. 4
years, you got a chance to try something different. The candidates will certainly be different in 4 years. I mean,
sure.
Well, Donald Trump might be there, but the Democrats will sure have somebody different. So. But anyway, I think that's what I'd like to say for this. And you know, I believe Jesus was for peace, and I would suggest that maybe for those who follow him or respect him, that the peaceful way forward is the way to go. So that would be what I would want to bring this week.
Awesome. Well, we want to talk. I knew we were going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm glad we did. But you have your books over here. Let's talk about that because I want people to know they're for sale.
Yes. Well, you know. We do this every week, but the 45-minute Bible is my little introduction to the Bible.
It's a great gift to give to somebody. I've given these books out to numerous people, and they love them.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of a nice stocking stuffer. They're not expensive. For the person who's really kind of intimidated by that big book that people call the Bible, this is a good way into it.
A lot of people have a year to sit around and read.
That's right. Now, I always say I don't want this to substitute for that, but it's a good entry point. It's a good gateway into it. And then we have all these other books. This one is always a big interest, Understanding Islam. This is written from a very non-biased perspective, even though I am a Christian. I also teach religion.
What's the number one question people ask about the
public university?
What's that?
I say I teach religion in public university, so I've learned to be very fact-oriented and try not to spin things. But you ask about the biggest question is, I think people want to know about jihad. That seems to be an aspect of Islam that people want to know about. So I talk about that quite a bit in here. a lot of questions
Are
about.
you laying it out that there's just a small percentage of people of Islamics that are terrorists?
Well, that, yeah, certainly.
Is that what you're telling people?
Certainly. I mean,
they're mostly peaceful people.
well, I mean, think about how many Muslims live in the Fresno area. I mean, you see Muslim people or people who appear to be Muslim. They're not out causing terrorist activities. How many of those may be sleepers, I don't know. But for the most part, Muslim people are like anybody else. They're trying to get by in life. And so I think we ought to give them a chance to prove, you know, that that's what they're doing. Obviously, Muslim terrorism and the jihadists are a part of the issue. So those people we need to look at differently.
Awesome. What's your number 2 book?
You know what? I just found this out on Amazon. I would never have guessed this, but the one about Jehovah's
The
Witnesses
Jehovah's.
is number 2. Yeah.
They want to knock on every door in the world.
Right. I was floored when I saw the Amazon statistics on this book, that this one is the one that sells mostly on Amazon.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Well, number one, I think there's a universal experience with Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody's had some sort of experience. And there's not much out there written about them. They're sort of the group that nobody talks about very much. So maybe my book's filling a gap.
What do these books retail for?
Generally about $15, but sometimes I run sales for a lot less, and so if a person wanted to buy a bunch of stocking stuffers, they could contact me.
What about the 5-pack? Do you have them in a 5-pack
You
yet?
keep telling me
Would you get on it, please?
I will do that. Next week, I will have your 5-pack price.
Yeah, this is Michael Bogart. He's here with me every week. Go to aspectministries.com and check out these books. Just leave him a little note telling you saw him right here on The Buzz. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Thanks, Chuck.